Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Ask Coach Marie. I'm Marie O'Neill, founder of Padma Life Coaching, and your host on this series. This is a place where you ask a question and I give my unique opinion as a life renewal coach, astrologer, and past life regression facilitator. Please know that I am not a therapist and I will never tell you what you must do. Each week on Friday, a new video is released with me answering 2 questions from the viewers. In addition to those questions, I talk about various other life renewal topics. Before we get started with the questions for this week, I have an announcement. I will be at the Kepler College Symposium, which is happening in Niagara Falls, New York, between September 4th and 8th. I'll be there celebrating Kepler College's 25th anniversary. They are the oldest astrological college here in the US. If you want to learn more about the symposium, please go to keplercollege.org. I'll be co-hosting a masterclass with my fellow astrologer, Lori Barnes. He's also with Kepler College there. We will be giving the masterclass on writing your bio page and your About Me page. The masterclass and the entire symposium you can attend in person or online. If you're in New York and near Niagara Falls, check it out. Come over. We'd love to see you there. If not, you're welcome to join us online. All right, let's go ahead and get going with the questions for this week. Our first question comes from Jasmine, who is in New Orleans, Louisiana. Jasmine writes, I have an irrational and intense fear of deep water, even though I've never had a bad experience with it in my life. Could this be rooted in a past life? If so, how can knowing that help me overcome the phobia now? Good question. And I would certainly support your idea that this is from a prior life, because if you haven't suffered a trauma in water in this particular incarnation, then it has to come from a prior life. It could also come from something you inherited from an ancestor. In either case, it's from a prior life. And the way to get to the bottom of it is to actually have a past life regression done. It's one of the ways. There's another way. You can do your own past life regression by getting quiet and asking the question, where does this issue originate? And sometimes you're given that information. I've had it happen like a movie screen in my mind's eye, just showing a scene. You're able to tell what lifetime it is and what the trauma was. And once you actually see where it originated, you can work with it. A lot of times just seeing it heals the issue. It's stored in your DNA, this trauma, in your cells, and you want to get it out. And one of the ways to get it out of the cells is to actually see where it began. Sometimes you need to have a conversation with who you were in a prior incarnation to talk about who you are now and find resolution that way. Sometimes it's just knowing that something happened. It's amazing what happens when we actually turn and face whatever it is we're afraid of. It's always good to start small with getting in water and helping yourself to get over the fear. But if you can get to the root cause, which would be in a prior life, that is going to be a profound game changer for you. There is a book, Many Lives, Many Masters, Brian Weiss, that's who it is. Anyway, read his book. He talks a lot about prior lives, and I believe he's a psychiatrist, and how he stumbled upon prior lives and how it worked with his clients once he was able to take them into their prior lives. They healed trauma just so much easier. Anyway, please put a comment below or email me and let me know how things are going. All right, let's go ahead and get going with the topic for this week. The life renewal topic is echoes of the soul, how past life imprints affect your present reality. Everything that we experience in this lifetime and in prior lifetimes is stored. We have a memory bank. It's stored in the soul. It's stored in the Akashic records. When we say karma is ripened for a person, it means that their soul, their being is ready for this issue to be worked through, to be healed. And therefore it comes up. And you have to recognize it. Sometimes you can have patterns in your life that you don't recognize until you do. Sometimes it's years later before you actually recognize that you have an issue, or even when you recognize it, that you actually want to do something about it. We are all affected by our prior lives. We can't possibly be who we are today with just one incarnation. We have propensities that we don't know where they came from. They came from our ancestors and our prior lives. They're stored in our DNA, stored in our cells, and they lie there dormant until they're ready to be worked on, or the traits even that we have. We inherit those. Everything that we've ever done, we see it, a lot of it, right here in this incarnation. Even if you don't believe in prior lives, think about your ancestors. Great-great-grandma, what did you inherit from great-great-grandma? You can look at it that way. I like to look at the propensities and traits and issues that we have that's coming from prior lives, but you may not have that tradition, and that's okay. Know that you can do past life regressions. You can go to therapists who can do this for you. There are psychiatrists and psychologists who can do past life regressions for you. Getting quiet to get to reach that part of you that is aware, reach the subconscious. It's amazing what's stored there. Anyway, prior lives, past lives has a direct effect on us in this incarnation and how we live our lives. So if you're having an issue that you want to get to the bottom of, or a trait you don't like in yourself, looking at your prior lives is one of the ways to get to the bottom of it. All right, let's move on to the next question. The next question comes from Michael, who is in Chicago, Illinois. Michael writes, I met someone new and felt an immediate, incredible, powerful connection that feels ancient and profound. It's both exhilarating and terrifying. How can I tell if this is a past life soulmate connection, and how should I navigate such an intense, bound responsibility? Good question. Now, number one, anyone you meet is a soulmate. I say that because we're all interconnected. Everyone that you are in a relationship with is a soulmate. That being said, there are people who we meet who we have an intense feeling about, and that feeling does not have to be a good feeling. It could be a negative feeling too. In this case, you're looking at a bond, a connection with this person. When you feel that, it's automatic that it is karmic. Doesn't mean bad. It means it's karmic. It means that you have unfinished business. You've come back together. You've chosen to come back together to work through whatever issue it is or whatever it is you needed to help you develop or move on with your consciousness, to expand your consciousness. Sometimes working on an issue with someone is being able to say no. Sometimes you recognize the bond with the person, but you're looking at the traits of the person and you're picking up who they are to you in this incarnation. I'm telling you this because sometimes we meet people who we feel intense about, and we don't take the time to logically analyze the situation. Sometimes we jump with our emotions versus taking a few beats, a few steps back and looking at the situation in its totality. When you meet someone and you feel that bond, it's always good to take a step back and ask yourself, what is this about? Why am I drawn to this person? What am I meant to learn? Sometimes it's somebody you say were in love with in a prior life, but that person isn't right for you, but they come up again and you are supposed to say no, but you're bonded or you feel that bond and you say yes. And it's all about learning the lessons. Remember, we're in a school, so it's all about learning and being able to let go. I do know people who in relationships with one person in particular who's in a relationship with somebody who was from a prior life. They fell madly, deeply in love with that person, but wasn't looking at the signs the other person was giving them. And now 30 years later, they're in a cycle with this person and can't seem to find their way out. You know that when you feel that bond, it needs to be a trigger. It needs to be a trigger for you to take a beat, a step back and analyze the situation. Doesn't mean that you're not supposed to be with that person. Maybe you are, but you need to know ahead of time. Know that it is karmic. And for good or for ill, it is definitely from a prior life. Maybe the person is there, well, they're always there to help you. That goes without saying. Or maybe it doesn't go without saying. So they're always there to help you. Sometimes it's to help you in a good way, and sometimes it's to help you through pain. Take your time when you meet someone like this. And ask some questions. Ask your guide to show you, what is this person here for? Who is this person? How do I know them? Show me who this person is. And then make your decision on whether you want to be with them or not. All right. We have come to the end of the questions for this particular episode. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. If you would like to learn more about the services that I offer, please check my website out. It is padmalifecoaching.com. On there, I have information about past life regression, astrology, and life coaching. If you would like to send me a question, send your questions to padmacoach@icloud.com. That's padmacoach@icloud.com. If you would like to learn more about me, please check out my book and The Lotus Opened, a memoir. The book can be found anywhere online books are sold. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, 8 Books, Walmart, Target. I talk about the trauma that I work through. I give information on how I work through that trauma in hopes that it motivates you to work through your own trauma, your own ordeals. Maybe it gives you a roadmap, can inspire you, help you on your journey. All right, thank you so much for being here. Please be sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That really does help. I'll see you back here next week. Bye-bye.